Hi, my name is Dick Jeffries. I'm the Conservation Chair of Rocky Mountain Flycasters, which is the local chapter of Trout Unlimited. Trout Unlimited is a national, nonprofit, cold water conservation organization whose mission is to conserve, protect, and restore North America's trout and salmon fisheries and their watersheds. That mission is why we provide you this presentation. We would like to inform you of a Greenback Cutthroat Trout restoration project that, when complete, will be the largest interconnected restoration area in the entire state of Colorado. We are fortunate, and we should be proud, to know this historic project is currently underway in our own backyard. The project is located in the headwaters of the Poudre River Basin. For additional geographic reference, the Poudre River is a branch of the greater South Platte River Basin that drains most of northeast Colorado. Why do we want to restore greenback cutthroat trout? As Americans migrated westward in the mid to late 1800s, the only trout those settlers would have found in the entire South Platte Basin would have been greenback cutthroat trout. In part, as a result of mining operations and water diversions, the greenback cutthroat population, as well as most wild trout populations, began to decline. Even more unfortunate for our native fish was the early observation by settlers that the trout they were catching were not the same as the trout they caught back home. So they shipped trout from areas where they lived and placed them in streams throughout the West. Thus the rainbow, brown, and brook trout, so common in our streams today, are all imported non-native trout. These non-native fish, and especially the brook trout, had a devastating effect on our native greenback cutthroat. Competition and predation of the greenback by these introduced non-native trout became so severe, we thought the greenback had become extinct. It wasn't until 1957 a small surviving population of greenbacks was found. In 1973, the greenback was listed on the endangered species list. Since then, ongoing efforts of wildlife managers and organizations such as Trout Unlimited have caused the greenback cutthroat status to change from endangered to threatened. In 1994, the greenback cutthroat trout became the official state fish of Colorado. Trout Unlimited is proud to collaborate with the U.S. Forest Service, U.S. National Park Service, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Colorado Parks and Wildlife, Colorado State University, and Water Storage and Supply in this historic restoration effort of our native trout. When complete, approximately 40 miles of interconnected streams and multiple lakes and rivers will provide a sustainable environment where greenback cutthroat trout can once again thrive as they did over a century ago. This sanctuary will allow us to enjoy a healthy native greenback fishery for generations to come. The U.S. Forest Service, as the lead agency in this project, has been working with several other federal and state agencies across multiple scientific disciplines to provide necessary research, analysis, and design. Working with these various agencies, Rocky Mountain Flycasters is providing annual volunteer labor groups for field work projects. Colorado State University has ongoing field research in the project area. In exchange for a 30-year access easement for their Long Draw Reservoir operations, Water Supply and Storage deposited $1.25 million into a trust fund account to help pay for direct project costs. Colorado Trout Unlimited was appointed the trustee of this fund, thus providing for fund transparency and accountability. The $1.25 million represents a little over 50% of the total estimated expense of the project. So over the coming years, Rocky Mountain Flycasters will be working with others to raise the remaining $1 million. Using a wide scale, this map illustrates the general location of the Poudre Headwaters project area. For reference, Long Draw Reservoir is about 35 air miles west of Fort Collins, or approximately 2.5 to 3 hours drive time from Fort Collins depending on moose traffic. I don't know about you, but I find it hard to resist stopping for a few minutes to enjoy these wondrous animals. 40 stream miles of greenback cutthroat restoration could seem grand in scale. While the effort is indeed a project of historic size, when the restoration area is viewed in the context of a wider, multi-watershed view that shows all streams and rivers, we can see there is an abundance of other areas for anglers and outdoor enthusiasts to enjoy the many varieties of cold water fish that inhabit our northern Colorado streams. Zooming in on a tighter scale, this map shows more clearly the area of restoration work and the streams, reservoirs, and lakes that will become part of the recovery area. A few of the creeks and their associated watersheds included in the project area are Hague, Chapin, Willow, La Poudre Pass, Neota, and Corral Creeks. Some of the lakes included in the project area are Hazeline and Mirror, Long Draw Reservoir, Poudre Lake, and of course the upper Poudre River are also in the project area. 2 new permanent barriers will prevent non-native trout species from accessing or escaping the restoration area. The upper barrier is located at the Water Storage and Supply Flume on the Grand Ditch. The lower permanent barrier is located just below the confluence of La Poudre Pass Creek and the Poudre River. A third permanent barrier is the existing dam at Long Draw Reservoir. Temporary barriers located throughout the project area will allow the scientists and restoration professionals the opportunity to develop the project in phases. Once the project is complete, the temporary barriers will be removed following leave no trace protocols and procedures. Any trout restoration project is a challenge. Add to the challenge, the Poudre Headwaters project area includes lands managed by multiple agencies, 3 designated wilderness areas, and the wild and scenic designation of our beloved Poudre River. I am confident more than one gray hair has been born as the research and design professionals create structure and implementation procedures that comply with all requisite guidelines. Just a few examples of requirements of barriers in wilderness areas are: barriers must match natural scenic environment. Barriers must appear to be part of the natural landscape. And barriers must be constructed with the minimum tools to limit trammeling in wilderness areas. For some time now, efforts leading to this wonderful restoration opportunity have been underway. Years of scientific data has been collected regarding fish type, ages, and movement. Stream morphology analysis has been conducted to guide barrier design. Consultations have been initiated and in some cases continue regarding tribal, heritage, wilderness area, and wild and scenic river considerations. Design work for the upper and lower barriers is currently underway, and including installation will take another 2 to 3 years. As project phase areas are cordoned off, removal of non-native fish will begin. And once the phase is determined to be free of non-native fish, greenback reintroduction efforts will begin. Once all restoration work is complete, temporary barriers will be removed by following the leave no trace ethos. We anticipate each of the 5 phased areas of restoration will take 2 to 3 years to complete. That means the entire project will be ongoing for another 10 to 12 years. I know I speak for all agency partners and Trout Unlimited in sharing our excitement in bringing back the native greenback cutthroat trout to its home waters. This goal of creating a metapopulation of greenback cutthroat trout in the Poudre Headwaters is an important step in our journey to eventually see this historic native fish removed entirely from the endangered species list. The restoration area, spanning wilderness in the northern part of Rocky Mountain National Park and across a part of the Arapahoe-Roosevelt National Forest, will be highly protected. This highly protected environment will help create and sustain a truly world-class greenback cutthroat trout fishery. We believe it is vital everyone better understands some of the science embedded in this project, especially the scientific understanding of why non-native fish, specifically the brook trout that is currently predominant throughout the area, must be removed before the greenback is restored. To assist in that understanding, Rocky Mountain Flycasters has prepared a short video that addresses that subject specifically.
Hi, I'm Kurt Fausch from the Department of Fish, Wildlife, and Conservation Biology at Colorado State University. I'm a professor of fisheries biology, and I've worked on stream fish, specifically trout and salmon, in the West and throughout the world. So in Colorado, the native trout are cutthroat trout, and specifically in this part of Colorado, greenback cutthroat trout along Colorado's Front Range.
The greenback, once thought to be extinct, is designated as a threatened species under the Endangered Species Act, and efforts have begun to restore a large population to the Poudre Headwaters, located near Long Draw Reservoir in Colorado.
The biggest threat to the remaining populations we have of the greenback are non-native trout like brook trout, which were brought from the east in the late 1800s.
Our research shows that cutthroat trout need larger streams with warmer temperatures that are free from brook trout if they're going to thrive in Colorado.
PhD student Doug Peterson and I conducted a big field experiment and found that cutthroat trout fry survived 13 times better when brook trout were removed compared to control streams. And survival of yearling cutthroat was more than twice as high when the brook trout were removed. Surprisingly, however, adult cutthroat survival was the same whether brook trout were removed or not. So the experiment proved that brook trout could decimate cutthroat populations over time by competition and predation during their first 2 years of life. PhD students Amy Herrig and Mark Coleman found that when native cutthroat trout are isolated in high mountain streams above barriers that keep brook trout out, the fry can't grow enough to survive the first winter. Basically, they can't get large enough and lay down enough fat during the short growing season.
Fisheries researchers and managers are working to identify streams with higher temperatures that can support greenback cutthroat survival and reproduction, and to establish barriers to keep brook trout out.
This is why the Long Draw project is so important. Cutthroat trout need larger streams with warmer temperatures that are free from brook trout if they're going to thrive in Colorado. The team of scientists and volunteers from a group of federal and state agencies and nonprofits and universities are following in the footsteps of my colleague Bob Benke, who pioneered cutthroat trout conservation. And they're working to create a stronghold for these fish above a barrier in the Big South Cache-la-Poudre watershed.
To learn more and to help restore Colorado's native trout, visit the Rocky Mountain Flycasters website.
If you visit our website at rmftu.org/conservation/native trout restoration, you can view and download a booklet that tells a little about why the eastern brook trout presents such a problem to greenback cutthroat trout restoration efforts. You can also view or download a trifold brochure that describes the Poudre Headwaters project. This presentation is provided to inform you of the ongoing efforts regarding the Poudre Headwaters project. Before I let you know of ways that you can assist in this remarkable effort, I would like to share with you the personal analogy I use when describing this project to others. During our historic westward expansion, we almost hunted the American bison to extinction. Some years ago, as a society, we recognized what we had done to the bison, and we set forth an effort to restore a small, protected population so future generations could enjoy this majestic creature. During that same westward expansion, we also set in motion a series of events that would take the greenback cutthroat trout to near extinction. Did we hunt or fish them to that point? No. Did our methods of mineral extraction and our diversions to bring water to our farms, towns, and families have an impact on them? Yes. Was it us who introduced the eastern brook trout that were mostly responsible for almost hunting them to near extinction? Absolutely. So just like the American bison, we have now an opportunity to restore a small protected population so you and I, our kids, our grandkids, and future generations can marvel at these remarkable fish and realize why they have been recognized as the state fish of Colorado. If you find this project interesting and hopefully exciting, there are 3 ways that you can help. You can volunteer your time, you can make a charitable donation to help us meet our long-term financial budget needs, and you can share this information with your friends, families, business, and social networks. To engage in any of these suggested activities, please contact us on our website of www.rmftu.org or email me at conserve@rockymountainflycasters.org. That's conserve@ROCKYMTNFLYCASTERS.org. Or give us a shout on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Just post, "Hey, conservation guy, let's chat about Poudre Headwaters."